The recording has started. Yeah, great. So I think we met when we met last time. We spoke about. Any idea what did we speak about? We got into the initial part of conflict and negotiation where we said let's get to understand some basic things. So we spoke about things should usually get sorted at the level of discussion. If it can't, then it moves to disagreement. Still, it's possible to figure it out. But if disagreement goes to the next level, passes that threshold, then we go into conflict. And conflict, then we spoke about conflict and competition. We spoke about power and conflict. We spoke about whether it's always negative or can conflict have a positive impact too. And the last one was what happened if we leave the conflict unattended, right? This is what we did last time, right? So are you guys okay after we do a particular topic? First topic was a bit bigger. We didn't get much time last week, but now you guys game to solve a small case on this so that we get the concepts right. Will you be okay with that? And as a reminder, and as a reminder, here is the link where all the notes will be there and would be uploaded. I'll keep on doing it every week so that you can see it, right? So a small case, in case Vishal and Ashok, I didn't. I'm sorry, I was on the other screen copying this out. Are you guys okay to solve something with me now? So we understand the topic, or you want me to go to the next topic?
Please go to the next topic because I'm using the phone to attend the class.
Okay, great.
Not
So
able to
then,
open the file actually.
yeah, because I think, but I will just show you the case because this is how at some point of time we will have to do all the cases because that's how I will be asking you. So let's have a look. My screen should be visible now. This is how it would be. Let's say, for example, right, just have a quick read. Just have a quick read and just give me 1 second while you read. I'll be back in few seconds. Because whatever we read, for me to ask you in the examination could be a case like this, where you should be able to put it to the context and try to figure it out. So if you have read this, then What are your views? If you are that manager, what will you do? If you can't talk, it's perfectly okay to put up in chat. That's just the highlight points. How will you approach this particular situation?
Sir, I will divide the work in small pieces and give to the team members.
Okay. So point one, divide the work in small parts and give it to the team members. Okay.
Then give the timeline for the team members. What is it within a day or how many days to take the project to complete? So give the timeline for the team members.
Sir, I somehow I'm not able to hear clearly. Would you mind repeating or just putting on chat if you don't mind? Timeline to complete the project. Yeah, that's a good point. Anything else which comes to mind apart from this 2 point? Divide the small work in small parts and give it to members. Timeline to complete. So I think both of them are linked. When you divide the work in small parts, you will also put a timeline to it, right? Okay, you have read the case, so I'm just gonna take that out, and yeah, I'm waiting for Mr. Ashok to. Use one server portal to do project to meet all in line with the team members. Okay, great. My PowerPoint here should be done. Now, both of you are absolutely right, but and I think we do it, but most of the time we don't realize it. I think we are talking about, you know, uh, you have a team which is responsible for developing solutions or the software, right? So we are working with people, uh, and people they are looking at how uh, about the project timeline, which feature to prioritize. Some member want to do it faster. Some people want to do it proper with testing and quality assurance that you get a final product out. And there are also disagreements in features and all that stuff which is happening. So we do it, and let me know if you agree with me. I think if you are a manager, instead of telling people what to do, if you can bring them together and then make them find most of the solution themselves, it usually works much better for that situation and going forward, because then people know that's what they need to do. So would this one of the point, uh, usually when people don't agree with, they will come and speak to you as a manager individually. They may not be talking in front of everybody else and all that stuff. So will having open communication and making an environment where people can feel comfortable talking to each other, what they feel and what they think should be prioritized and not, will that not be a very good starting point? And I think that's what we spoke last week, right? That the importance of discussion, open environment for discussion is what actually can help to not even lead to disagreement, right? So I think this first part is, for me, is facilitate open communication, which is important. Now, when you have open communication, you as a manager can act as a facilitator, and then what you can do is, even though people are not uh, agreeing, it's not that they won't be agreeing on everything. There would be something on which they would be agreeing, and won't it be nice to bring that on table and say, "Oh wow, so actually." Even though, let's say there were people, and then you can say, oh, so we agree on, let's say, 75% of the thing, and we just need to talk about the 25%. Won't that be a very good thing, where people start realizing that it's not that they are completely looking east and west. There are few things which they don't agree on, and other things they are indeed agreeing on. Would you agree that this is how it could take shape? Because knowing your view is very
Yes, sir.
important. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And we do it, right? I think most of us would be doing it, but we are doing it with a subconscious mind, right? But
Yes, sir.
doing it cautiously, it would be there. Right now, when we are facilitating open communication, when we are identifying common goals, right? What happens when we are doing this? To do it, we encourage constructive dialogue, right? Which basically mean whatever people are feeling, what should be prioritized, how it should be prioritized, and all that stuff, right? If we encourage that, let's talk, let's hear out each other with an open mind. Let's look at their each and everybody's point of view, and let's also keep long term and short term goals in mind. Do keep in mind that if company makes money is when, we all of us make money and all that stuff. You do encourage a constructive dialogue, because once you do a constructive dialogue, what you are doing, you are asking them to work together and decide. When people come together and they decide, by using brainstorming, SWOT analysis, you can do multi-vote uh, multi-vote options on what should be done and what not should be done. If you do that, then bulk of the disagreements might get resolved right there. Has anybody ever tried doing this? If not, this is something which could be a pretty good thing to do, where you are looking at collaborative, because if you tell people what to do, they usually don't like. One, second, then they do it because you as a manager asked them to do it. And if it goes wrong, they will say, you asked me to do it and I did it, right? Whereas if they decide, then they by default take ownership on what needs to be done. Right. Now, when people are talking, it's not that everybody can have their way, right? So what we can do, and I think that's a very important part of uh, this particular topic and this particular approach, is that what
Sorry, your mic is muted. Please unmute.
hello, would you mind repeating what you said?
Yeah, okay, sir. Just now muted. Okay, now okay. Audible.
Okay, right. So once you get people together by facilitating the open communication, right? You start off by saying, okay, what are the common goals? We want organization to succeed. We want to have a good product, but we also, let's say, want to market quickly so that we can capture the market. Common goals, look at various issues to realize that you agree on most, but you have some disagreements. You then encourage constructive dialogue where everybody listens to everybody else's point of view very, very patiently and clearly. And then between them, they start talking, ideally to take a collaborative decision making. And how do you decide? Usually, it's all about compromise and a win-win situation without sacrificing the organization objective. But the disagreements can 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 uh, can be weeded out by everybody giving and taking and ensuring that there's a win-win situation for everybody. And once this is done, whatever both of you said comes into comes into play out here, where we can then we say we establish clear roles and responsibility. Because once this is done, then whatever I think both of you said rightly is now then you make the plan. You say who is responsible, who is all that stuff comes in out here. Have we heard of this word called rasky?
No, sir.
Okay, so I think it gets used. Let me expand it out here because I think this is what we should be using. We put who is responsible, right? Who is accountable, who will provide support for that particular thing, who could be consulted, and who needs to be kept informed. Responsible, accountable, supported, consulted, and informed. So before I go, is responsible and accountable same?
Sir, responsible is actual doing the work, and accountable is for that supervisory role.
Okay. Ashok sir, any view?
No, sir. Looks both are same. Responsibility and accountability. Looks both is same.
Okay. Uh, uh, actually, it's not. Responsible is you're responsible to do that task, as Vishal sir said, and accountable is that if the task is not done, you would be held responsible. You will be accountable to answering why that work is not done. Now, the same person could be responsible and accountable, but it's accountable which basically mean ensuring that that task happens as per the quality and the timeline is with that particular person. right? So then you go and define this very clearly. I'll explain all. We have already spoken about responsible and accountable, then supported, which means if while doing the work, some additional help is required, who could provide support. For example, if you are a software developer and your laptop stops working, then you can go to the IT person and they would support you. Consultant is when you need advice. Something is very complicated, then you go to that person for consultation. Informed is a person whom you keep informed about the progress made or the issues. Usually the team leader or the manager and all those people come into informed, or even the client which comes into informed. So you clearly define all of this part, right? And usually people stop at establishing clear roles and responsibility. But what you need to do then is monitor progress and provide support, which basically mean once this is done, you keep on measuring against the timelines, ensuring things are happening on time, ensuring people are working as per the clear roles and responsibilities, right? And give support and guidance when and as and when it's required, because usually the disagreement keeps coming once in a while in between, right? So if you do this, then I think this type of disagreement or initial conflict could be potentially resolved very, very amicably. I will pause here and see, look at your views, that will this strategy, what is your view, that will it work or not? Or if you have something else which you think I missed. Or if you're following something else for a situation like this, then I would love to hear. Putting up in chat is also perfectly okay with me on. Okay, so I take it that we are clear with this, right? And I think this is how it could come as a small case in your examination, and then we are supposed to put this out, right? My only request out would be think like this. I would upload the case as well as few solutions so that you get an idea. And obviously, seeing this video, friends who are not here should give an idea on what is happening and how it is happening. Yeah, always keep in mind we are working with people, and each individual is different. So when you bring them together, make an environment which is very conducive, there cannot be 100% disagreement. Start with what is common and then build from here. And once agreed, ensure that you define clear roles and responsibility, and then don't stop there. Also monitor the progress. Right. So that's where we stop on topic one, and I just wanted to show you one case so that you get a practical part of it. Let's go into topic two, which is so we'll get into different type of conflicts which come in, right? And I hope my screen is still visible.
Right.
Right. The second one would be intrapersonal conflict, right? So we're gonna go and talk about different types of conflicts. which are coming into play. So let's talk about intrapersonal conflict. And obviously, we are looking from a organizational perspective, right? We are not looking at a personal, but we are looking more from organization. But if you have any question on the other part, I'll be more than happy to do. Any idea what would be an intrapersonal conflict?
So personal conflict means within the group, right, sir?
Within the group, okay? Won't that be more of an interpersonal conflict? Right? Okay, let's go and build on to it, and then we can see, right? Intrapersonal conflict, right? It is within an individual. Yeah, it is within an individual. That's why it's intrapersonal, right? It's not interpersonal. It is within an individual. And why would it arise? Conflicting desires, right? The desire on Sunday morning to sleep more or go out with family or friends for a nice breakfast in the morning or to join the lecture. So conflicting desires. It could be belief, very major factor when it comes to belief or values, right? Of an individual, right? We're talking about it, right? So intrapersonal conflict arises, which is obviously within an individual because of conflicting desire, beliefs, or values, right? Uh, why does it usually happen? When a decision has to be made, the decision has to be made that involves trade-offs. That involves trade-offs between conflicting interest or goals. Would you agree with this? That this is where issue may come internally within a person? Anything you want to add to this? Have we been in a situation where we had a conflict within ourselves?
I guess most of the time, day to day.
Yes, most of the time, right? Most of the time, and I think it is because of when we have to do our thing between what happens out here, right? One example, and I'll give some like example on my own, which makes it easy on that particular part. At one point of time when I was young, very young actually, I had an option to go overseas, right? The opportunity was very good. It was just before I was uh, gonna get married, right? Even though the opportunity was very good and all that, there was a conflict that would this be the right time? Go. Would this be a right time to go or not? Right? Leave your family behind out here, parents and everything else, and all your stuff here. And that was a major conflict within. It took some time, but then eventually took a call that I would not. But then years down the line, when I was in my 30, just gonna touch 30s, one more opportunity came I was experienced, I was wiser, and I could negotiate where I said, okay, fine, I will take the family along with me, including my parents to the extent possible, and that's the time I could then go overseas and work. Right? So yeah, that's how most of us, any job or anything we want to do is where we do different stuff, right? And would you agree with me that most of your working professionals, that the team you are working with, each of them would be struggling with their own intrapersonal conflicts many a time,
Yeah, yes, sir.
right? And how much time do we take that into account when we are talking to them?
Maybe half an hour, 1 hour after talking, then we realize that their point of view, then we agree that one actually.
Yeah. But would you agree if I say that most of the time our managers miss that with us?
Not the manager, yes, the manager also, but the team members also.
Yeah, agree. Pawan says he's not able to see the shade screen. Are you guys able to see it or
Yeah,
not?
now I'm able to see, sir.
Can see.
I don't know. Maybe there is a network issue.
No worries, sir. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Right. So I think that is the key, which we need to look at. Now, if I ask you from a point of view of the job, which could be the one or two key things because of which intrapersonal conflict usually happens.
The communication, like let's say the communication from the one department to another department. So in my last week, I faced one of the problems. From sales side, without the email communication, then all goes wrong.
Yeah, one is
So become
communication.
they
Sorry. Yeah.
some communication breakup.
Right. Anyone else?
So it may be due to the competition within the teammates.
This could be okay.
Sometimes lack of information as well in the inter-department communication.
Right. Just a point out here. Won't communication be part of discussion?
Yes, sir, of course.
Competition for promotion.
Would you agree with me on that, or hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir, you are audible.
Hello. Something wrong with my voice out here. Can you hear me, guys? I'm really sorry, but
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yes, sir,
Yes,
you
we
are
can hear
audible,
you.
sir. So sorry, you are not audible now. Check your Bluetooth connection, sir.
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Sorry, something in the break. I'll try to see if I can fix it further. Right. And my screen is still visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Visible.
Okay. Now, when we look at intrapersonal, whatever you said, very valid, but that would be mostly at a level of discussion or disagreement. Would you agree if I say one of the major contributor would be the role conflict? Can role conflict be a major contributor, right? And what do we mean by role conflict?
Disagreement.
Yeah, disagreement. No, when I say role conflict in a role would be
Who will going to do the particular work done?
okay. Yes, right. Or could
A
it
hierarchy.
be? Yeah,
It could be a hierarchy we are having. So the person who is at the higher level, sometimes they are, not listen to the lower words they are having.
The managers putting the pressure on the doers to work fast.
yeah. Role conflict would be expectation expectation from management and team. That would be a classic role conflict, right? You are a manager. Management expects you to some very tight timelines and everything else, and whereas your team is capable of X but they're expecting Y. Now you are into a conflict whether to say yes to the management demand or stand up for your team. Will that be a classic case of role conflict?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I think most of you are working. Have you been in a situation like this, or have you ever seen your manager in a situation like this?
Both.
Yes, we have.
Both, right? And I think again, as we go ahead, I hope we start realizing this so that next time you are in a situation like this, you think and say, oh, what do I do? I'm on a role conflict. And then you also realize, oh, my manager also could be in the same situation, or my colleague also might be in the same situation. And the moment you start realizing this, you are able to handle the conflict and you are able to negotiate much more effectively because now you know what's happening and why is it happening. Right? We okay with this particular part?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And I think we need to know, we need to see, we need to align to this to work. Well, what happens if we don't realize that we are in a role conflict?
The output will be affected.
Yes, the output would be definitely affected. Will it impact? Will it have an impact on that individual also?
Yes, the
Yes, sir.
relationship individuals get in the better way.
Yes, the person will keep it inside, and that might build frustration. The person effectiveness may come down, and that might overall impact the overall performance of that individual, or maybe even the team. Right? So This is one. Now the second one, which I want to put up out here, and let's see if it brings smile to your place, is the role ambiguity. Right? So let me ask you a question on a Sunday morning and make you smile. How many of us actually end up working as per our JD, job description?
No
No.
one.
Right? That is a universal truth, right? So what happens when role ambiguity comes up? So role ambiguity would be so let's put up out here because lots of friends would be just seeing the video. We can say different expectations from management and team, and you are in between. So that will happen. Role ambiguity would be unclear or ill-defined. Expectation would be role ambiguity, right? What happens if one individual is not clear about the role?
So ultimately, it's a roadmap of the outcome is not clear or visible to the individual if the role ambiguity will be there.
Right. So one example out here, if the starting of the year, the expectation from you is not set. So your KPIs are not defined, or the KPIs are too
Healthcare.
subjective. By end of the year, will you be able to get a very good appraisal? So let me give you an example to think about. Uh, Many of you would be facing the customer, right? And your manager tells your KPI is that you should have a happy customer, and you agree to it. Can you define what's the meaning of happy customer?
To
Will be very
fulfill the requirement.
yeah, will be very
So we
subjective,
def-
right? Would be very subjective, right? So that's why I believe you guys would have had a topic on scorecards and KPIs.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, great. So I think one of the major reason of intrapersonal conflict also is when you don't know what is expected from you. You are always in that confused mind, and that then starts putting pressure on that individual because that individual wouldn't know what to do and how to do it, right? So I think that's the second point which we should keep in mind, that you know, this this could be a major problem on how it looks like and how it fits like, right? So if we talk about this now, the question comes, how do we fix it? Because I'm here to define for you, and then how do we address it? Any pointers?
Better to clarify with your manager who is setting expectation against you.
Yeah, clarify with your manager, ability to clarify. That would happen by effective communication, right? What else? Ability to clarify would come only when you have decision making skills. so that you are able to decide for, oh, no, I want to do this. And once you are clear on what you want to do is when you will be able to effectively communicate to your manager and to clarify what you want and what you think, how it should be done. Would you agree on that? Right now, when does all this come? When does all this come? Is when you are, and I think this goes slightly into philosophy also. When you are self-aware, you know what you want, you know where you want to go. Would you agree? Many a time we land up in a situation because we are not clear on what we actually want. If not now, but when we were younger and all that stuff, it happens even now. You know, you really many a time, uh, this 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 would really happen right now. This is how, right, the whole thing is. I'm gonna blow it up so you can see it on the screen. Uh, let's talk about it and say, hey, okay, this is how it is. Now the question out here, all of you are senior professionals. Uh, how can this learning be taken back to your job profile for you to be more effective? With your permission, I just agree. I hope that we are okay to look at the practical part of it.
So, sir, can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So as we have clarified that if we have the information related to the interpersonal conflicts and we are addressing it, so ultimately we have a self-awareness and we have a clarification related to your KPI. So you can create your career path or the roadmap of your career for a year or 2 years to reach uh, to your expectation from the role perspective.
Valid, very valid. I think that's a good point. Any other point of view?
And to reach to that particular level, you can train yourself and grasp the knowledge which is required for that particular role. That also I want to add.
Yep. I think that's a good one there. Just waiting to see if anybody else has anything to contribute. Okay, great. So what we can do, we still have a bit of a time, and then we will take up. Let's do something. Let me just stop this share and share something new, because we put a context, then it becomes easier, because most of this is most of this can be done. Uh, just give me 1 second. Is my screen visible? Yeah. Could you have a quick read? Just expanding it for you. And I'm here taking every example that you are the team leader because you all are senior, but you could reverse it of what you could expect from your manager. So if you are a team leader out here, what would you do?
So, as per the case study, sir, there's two aspects of this intrapersonal conflict. One is a person doesn't have clear idea of their role, that what is their boundaries and what are the tasks they have to complete. Number one. Number two is they have conflict with the personal work as well as the work commitment they are having.
Yeah,
Okay, so personal work would be, related to their office work as well as their personal life, things. So I will go with the number one, where they don't have the clarity related to their role. So first of all, with the team, when we are providing those information that they have to, I mean, a marketing agency we have to create, and inside that we have to advertise a campaign for the clients. So ultimately we have just defined their part. That means, for example, if you have three persons, we can divide this particular things in three work breakdown structure, and accordingly we can assign those tasks to the person so that they have a clear idea they have to complete from A to B. Second is has to complete B to C and C to D, right? This is number one related to the role. And if there is a person who has the conflicts between the work task as well as their personal task, so I can just sit with them and just understand that how much time it is required to complete the personal things. And I can tell him to, for example, if a day we have a 8 hours for the working, and in which he has to go for some medical kind of appointment for 2 hours, right, on an everyday basis because of
right.
some ill person there in their family, right? So I can tell him that you can schedule your day in such a way that, so for example, you have started at 9 and you have to go for appointment from 1 to 3, so you can just work from 9 to 12, and after that you just go and complete your personal things, and you just extend couple of hours in the evening just to complete your task in a day, if it is feasible for him. Or if it is not feasible for him, then I will just search in a team if someone who is good at work and he's completing their task on time, or maybe he has a bandwidth and he's okay with that, then I can just share small work to the team as well. So these are the two ways I can handle this.
I think very good and valid points. Thank you very much, mate. You have done half of my work already. Anybody else with anything they want to add on? Right. So whatever he said, I'll start putting it up out here. When he was speaking, he was giving lot many point, and I said one always obviously is foster open communication, which is a key, right? We know that most of the disagreements and conflicts happen. So what he said, talk. So you know what that person requires. When you understand that person, then as per the case, the first thing would have been clarify role expectations, right? How will you do that? By setting right KPIs, right metrics, and all that stuff, right? So that the role ambiguity and the other part will go on, right? Uh, one thing I think, Pawan, I think you gave the inputs. One thing we usually forget is when we do this, we also may require we may figure out that the person is lacking something, and because of that, the intrapersonal coming. So sometimes as a team leader, we can also provide training and development. Would you agree? A person may not be very
Correct,
good at
sir.
time management or something else, and by giving that extra support, suddenly things might become okay, right? The other point you said was, and I'm just trying to remember, uh, was you said, yeah, implement work-life balance initiatives, right? And you gave some examples. Like many organizations are going towards that, and I had the pleasure of working at many places where the focus from the managers was, I need this work to get done, right? Uh, so if you need to step out for 2 hours, like you said, Pawan, and then you do it later or you are doing it early morning, as long as we have the quality, as long as everything is working, we are fine. So many a time work-life balance, flexi hours, remote work, and all that stuff can come into play because now you know what is happening and what is not happening, right? And then there was one more thing you mentioned, which I liked a lot was many a time the team can help each other, right? One person has a medical emergency, then somebody from the team can step up without you asking for it, right? So what you can do is you can work for supportive team culture, right? If you as a team leader or as a manager build up a culture where everybody is looking out for everybody else, and if somebody has some personal problem, other people step up and they take care of it, right? Won't that be amazing? Right, now one more thing, do let me know if I'm wrong. Sometimes as managers we see everybody same, right? And we sometimes forget that each human is different, right? So whatever we do, even though we are doing it at organization level, we need to keep in mind that we are addressing individual needs, right? Some person may require lots of work to stay motivated. Some person may require wants to do a quality work, methodological work, and we need to look at that and then balance. Right, and I think that is very, 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 very important. And when we give this personal touch, people recognize it, and then they start respecting you, and then communication becomes more effective because they know you care, right? And I think that's what happens. Now, one more thing is change is constant, right? Which basically mean once you do this, you can't stop. You have to continuously monitor and adjust because things will keep changing. And you also need to look at that, and you need to keep be, and if you're proactive, then your monitoring and adjusting can really help you to figure out everything in a much, much, much better way. Would you guys agree on this? On like Pawan, what
Correct.
you said, I
So
just
we can,
put them into points.
correct, sir.
Yeah.
So, sir, can we put, I mean, monitor and existing, can we put this as in risk analysis as well? Because ultimately it's a people management risk analysis we can tell.
Yes, see, most of the conflict and negotiation comes in because we are working with people. When was the last time you had argument with your sofa, or
Uh,
the
and
last fight with your car?
that happens, I guess, a few
It
weeks
wouldn't
before.
it wouldn't it wouldn't happen, right? The car won't fight back with you, right? All conflict and negotiation comes because we are working with human beings,
Correct.
right? And that's where, and each human is different from other. Everybody is unique because of their backgrounds, upbringing, and everything else, right? And that's where, when we give it up, we look for the individual one. And why the need to monitor and adjust? Why? Because let's say, with your permission, your example, Pawan, when you were 20 plus, when you joined work, your expectation was different. Now your expectation would be different, right?
True.
Yeah, and if you're working in the same company for 5 to 10 years and you had the same manager, if the manager won't adjust as per your growing needs, no matter how right intentions are, you will go back home thinking that you're not taken care of, right?
Yes.
And I think that's where the need of continuously monitor and adjust. I'll give you a simple example. Again, from my working time, we had an individual who used to love working in the night shift. In fact, would fight to work in a night shift. Everybody else was different. He was different on a continuous year. And suddenly, I think he did that for 2.5 years. And then suddenly, he started demanding for general shift and first shift, right? And because he always used to do night, his team leader was would push him into night, and at some point of time his performance, he was a high performer, performance started dipping. And when it came to our attention, it was pretty simple, right? And we asked his TL how he missed it. He had just got married, right? And sometimes you just miss that because you said he always wanted night shift, he always would be happy in night shift. A change happened in his personal life, and it was not intended by the TL, but it just missed. Even though he had gone to the wedding and had lovely food there, but it missed his mind that he needs to go back and adjust if the request comes for that person now to not to work in night shift on a regular basis, right? And we had a rotation policy. He was the only one who wouldn't take that earlier, but now he had to be put up in the existing process. So that's why the need of monitor and adjust. Are
Well
we
said.
good with this? Great. Let's do one thing. It's already an hour. Let's take a short break. Go grab a cup of tea or coffee, guys. It's 10:08. Let's meet at 10:18, and then we'll go to the next topic. Okay. I'll see you then. Right, I am back. A quick use of emojis if you are back, so I know that we can start. Thank you, Ashok sir. Let me just share my screen again. Right. So we did intrapersonal out here. Let's go for now, which I think was spoken about. Let's talk about interpersonal conflict. Any idea what would that be? It is between individuals, right? Intra was within an individual, and interpersonal is between individuals, right? So I think that's what we need to do. We need to figure out. Any idea why would a interpersonal conflict arise at all?
Communication gap.
Communication is given. Like ये in my topic कोई भी question आएगा, communication is given. Absolutely. So communication style, communication gap, more than communication gap. Would you agree on a communication style? Right. Why I'm saying communication style? Let me just give elaborate it a bit more. Uh, Between extrovert and introvert, the communication style would differ. And that's what we need to keep in mind, because a person who doesn't like to speak much, then the way of communication is different and all that stuff. What apart from communication style? Difference in goals. What are they aspiring to do? Values, personalities. Apart from so actually I can put difference in communication style, goals, values, and personalities. Would you agree? Usually interpersonal conflicts would arise because of all these. If you are looking at two different objectives completely, you have two different values, or you have a completely bang opposite personality, and if it's not managed, uh, conflict is given, right? Can anybody think of a recent interpersonal conflict?
Biden and Zelensky.
Yes, Trump and Zelensky, right?
Yes,
Massive
sir. Yes.
flare up, massive flare up, which happened there, right? And because of that, Ashok Kumar sir says lack of confidence. Lack of confidence. Just give me 1 second, please. Yeah. So Ashok sir, I just read you said lack of confidence. Lack of confidence usually gives uh, results in an intrapersonal conflict, and then can seep into interpersonal conflict. But usually that would come out there. I hope you're clear on this, right? I keep on mentioning values. Nobody asked me. Do you agree that values play a major role into conflict?
Yes, it is.
It is, right?
Because ultimately it guide everyone to, understand the things as well as the doing of things.
Exactly. And I think that's why values and goals and values are completely different, right? You may have same goals, but because of different values, the way you want to achieve that may be completely different, right? And that's why I think values also play a major role in how things happen and where they go and where that particular happens, right? So I think very important to look at this and then figure out what happening and what is not happening, right? Now, key contributors, right? So I'm going to put the first one and we'll see if you can pick up the second one. Personality is what I'm putting. Do you agree? If you agree, give me some example, and if you don't agree, then would like to hear
Yeah,
your views.
yes, sir. I agree. The personality is agree actually because recently the conversation went to the US, Mr. Donald Trump, and then the Ukraine president. He go there and then casual T-shirt he wear, and then they all White House people asking that why you are not come the formal. So that is conflict, right?
Exactly. Great. So I think that's what it is. Now, if we take it to our organization setup or in our office setup, any example comes to your mind which you have observed or something like that?
The marketing people must wear the shoe, formal shoe and tuck-in, and then they use tie all those things. If they go casual, the marketing people won't get the business right.
Exactly. Yeah, that is one. I'll give one example. Uh, let's say you are having a team. You have a team where there are you have two people. One is very assertive personality, on the face personality, and the second person is a quiet person, more of an introvert, keeping to himself or herself. Now, if both of them, the assertive person goes all out and says, we should do it like this, like that, and all that stuff, and the other person is keeping quiet. Does that mean that person agrees?
If that person agree or no agree, who is keep on move actually because already the another person talk right, open talk. So the if disagree also is acceptance.
Yeah, and I think that's the point I want to bring out here. Yeah, Pawan, you're saying something.
I was just telling that there is the feedback loop is not established because of that the communication is not effectively completed.
Right, and I think that's the point I wanted to bring in as a manager when you're looking at managing the conflicts and negotiation. This is what you should know about people whom are you working with. That okay, just because that person keeps quiet wouldn't really mean that person is agreeing, right? Silence is not acceptance, right? Which basically mean it's boiling and it will explode at some point of time, right? So you have to make an environment where that really wouldn't happen, right? And I think that's important. Negotiation is all about understanding the person around and then figuring out what happens and what doesn't happen, right? So this is important. Can anybody think of what could be the second one?
The personality people, not only the personality, the dressing code, all those things, the face personality also, and the speech personality also. If they no speak anything, the open communication, they go very personality. The guys we
Right, agree. So that
no
is all
meaning
taken.
actually.
Yeah, that is all taken part of personality. I'm saying, is there any other except of aspect of interpersonal conflict?
I guess role ambiguity here also possible because if the person doesn't know that what is their boundary to complete this particular task or when you are working together, that will go for an interpersonal conflict.
Yeah, so if I in the goat I also put ambiguity, role ambiguity, then right, this is mine, this is yours, right?
Hmm. Correct.
Right. The second one out here, one is the personality, and the second part I'm talking to you more from a senior person point of view. The second would be the style. We know when people are together, when more than one person works together, then there would be if you don't take care, it will have disagreements, and disagreement will lead to conflict, right? The other part would be style of handling the conflict, right? Conflict will happen. The disagreement will happen. It's also how do we manage it then also really matters, because if you don't handle it properly, it will lead to conflict. It will lead to conflict. So the example out here is, let's say the same case one, which we had done out there, right? If there's a person who is not willing to listen to anybody, not agreeing for win-win situation and saying my way or highway, will there be conflict with the other team members?
Definitely it arises.
Definitely it will arise. Now let's take a second example of the same person, but with a different thing where the person passionately explains what he's saying, why he's saying, with all examples of why it could help the organization, and then says, "I'm open for your inputs and look at how do we make the organization succeed." Will the second approach be much better than the first approach? Right. So again, that's where the key parts comes in, and I think that's where, as a manager, how many times out here do we need to win each battle?
No.
No, right? So sometimes if you think that your team member is very passionate about it, and you do a quick calculation that it may not be how I want to do it, but this means a lot to this team member, and it will not affect my end product. It will not have impact on my timeline. It will not have any impact on my customer. So if I allow him or her to do that, actually this person may go back being happy and motivated. Won't that be amazing way to actually avoid that conflict completely altogether? Or second example would be, you are working with a client who is always very passive aggressive. You know that. If you go back with an approach where you don't react to that passive aggressive approach and only look at the content and focus on what you want to get done, will that give you a better result than you also going tit for tat? Any examples come to your mind? I'm sure all of us would have been in our interpersonal conflicts multiple times, right? So I think that's what we need to think, and that's what we need to figure out on how it works. And uh, I think what we did in the first one, let's also put up out here. How to handle this when we are saying understand the personality trait, their conflict handling style, right? It's always good to know that how will that person react. Like, we say we know that person pretty well, so you know which buttons to pull or which person not to pull, right? So that it can work on that particular part, right? Understand and respect. And the key part here, and I think that's where I want to take this topic to. Uh, we know that each individual has some traits and then their values. How many times do we understand and respect that, saying that this guy will react like this only? I need to find a way around it. Will that by itself help achieve uh, a better conflict management? Any example comes to your mind? I think one which comes to my mind is, I think all of us would have been around small kids, right? That's fun way of looking at how to manage conflicts, where that kid does want to do something, you don't want to do it. How many times it goes south when we try to push, or how many times it works out well when we try to understand and then try to manage it in a more effective way, right? Wherever there are more than two people, I've said it earlier, conflict will happen, and we need to figure out how to do it. Now, a question out here. Do you have any other school of thought? Because I think all of you are uh, so senior that you would have been in a situation like this. Any other point which comes from your part? And obviously, yes, communication and all that do come in by default, but anything else?
Working style due diligence, sir. I just take an example. Sometimes when you find it out, the clients who are always focusing on the negative things. So, for example, you are delivering something. He is not focusing that what you have delivered, but he is focusing what are the bugs or what are the wrong thing happens, right? So we just create a style where we are starting our presentation by showing that in the previous meeting what are the negative points we have scattered, how we have handled it, and how can we extend to handle these kind of symptoms. So it will ease them up because that is their working style. They want to clarify the negative first and then they want to move to the positive.
Yeah, so good point. And I can just put out here and say working style. Conflict handling is a working style, right? Now let me bring something out here and let's see if it works. Let me ask you a question. What you said you're working with a client, and client usually starts with the negative, right? And then looks at what worked right. Am I right?
Yes,
Can you just
because he
tell
just want
me?
to oversell.
Yeah. Can you just tell me like it is like for it's about selling, or is about service, or is about it's
About
a
service.
sorry.
It's about service, mostly the IT services.
Okay, IT services, ITES, right? Now, Pawan, let's do a small role play. You are that client, and I am you. Okay. Will that be fine?
Okay.
I'm thinking on the fly, right? I'm thinking on the fly. So pardon me for, bit of slow going out here, or my brain might just bring it up and there. So I know I'm working with you for last 1 year, and every month we have a call, or every 3 months we have a stakeholder meeting, and where you would highlight what went wrong. You will go on about it first, and then you will talk about other things. And I have my PPT ready, which will talk about what went right, and then I have about the issues and all that stuff. Would that be a right summarization on what is happening?
Yes.
Now, if I step back and I say, hey, here is the working style of my client. His or her way of working is first put pressure so that he or she can extract more from me, put me on defensive, right? And then mostly have his or her own way. Again, will that be a right summarization of how I would feel as Pawan here? And I think we just lost him. But I think for everybody else, uh, that could be Pawan. Good to have you back. So what I was saying was, my understanding of that person working style would be the person wants to play power play, want to go aggressive on what didn't work, so that I can be defensive and that person can extract more from me. Would that be a right summarization of that client?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So now I'm Pawan. I look at it, I understand, and I said, I respect, I understand my client personality. I know the style of working. Now I can't change that because I'm not in a situation, or no, I'm not even around. But now I understand that client. So Pawan, next meeting, what if my first slide says what went wrong?
Yes. So my first slide says that what went wrong and what are the assessment we had done to make it correct.
Great. Now I'm just changing. I'm just thinking on the fly. Now I have done that, but the client is still going tongs and hammers on it. So what I do is, next meeting, even before the meeting, maybe 10 days before the meeting, I send my pack, which says what went wrong, why, what is the action plan, and all that stuff. I send it much earlier, and I send it to all stakeholders, right? With all the plans and everything, with the open communication that here it is. So when we are in the meeting, we can talk specifics. If any one of you have any other query or question, please reach out to me even before the meeting. Now with your client, that one person, I bet there are other stakeholders in that meeting. Won't that over a period of time start having some kind of impact on that client?
Yes.
So again, to think about, again, I'm saying this is how we can identify, we can see, and then we can start working. And when we come to the last session, I will talk about negotiation parts. This is one of them, but there is other part of it. If you think this is not working, then other things can be done, but we will do that in our subsequent sessions, right? So are we clear about the interperson conflict? So there are two type of conflicts. One is intrapersonal, one is interpersonal, right? At individual level. We'll build up our story about from people, between people to between groups and all that stuff as we go ahead, so that you get a complete picture, right? Anybody else have any thought about it? Vishal, Mohit sir, Rohit, Ashok sir. And if you're good, then I'm
Yes,
good.
sir. It's okay, sir.
Great. Okay. Topic 3. Have a read and let's talk about it. I'm sure you might be reading this and it might be reminding you when you were a team member, or now if you have a team, things like this happening. Happy to hear your views whenever you are ready.
So I think team manager has to listen both of them, Alex and Sarah.
Okay, great. That's a good start.
So, sir, my point of view, first of all, we have to understand their behavior, and we have to understand that the dominance has in, dominance is coming because of the expertise or the insecurities or the need for control. So, first of all, we have to identify the behavior, why it is happening. And once you will evaluate the same thing, you can go privately, if we find it out that, that dominant behavior is not good and it is not helping the team, or maybe if it is helping also, I just go one to one with Alex and make him understand that because of him the team collaboration is less, and some of the introvert person in the team are not contributing much. So if you have a expertise, you have to slow it down, and kind of, you don't have to force your things to another person, and just to understand them, and with your expertise just tell them that how we have to go in your way instead of that person way, so that it can resolve, it can create the harmony in the team. So this is my first viewpoint. There could be multiple things I will do, step by step, if things are not going right.
Great point. Anybody else? If you have, just pitch in, talk to me. So I think, Pawan, what you said, I'll just start putting it up in points. So yeah, so what you're saying out here is, as a team leader, yeah, you will facilitate constructive dialogue, which would mean that you will sit down with both individually and try to understand their point of view, right?
Correct, sir.
It will help the root cause. Now, what you said, Pawan, here, 2 points. My personal view. When you do just talk to both of them individually and all that, you may also figure out that maybe it's not Alex, it might be even Sarah, and she needs to speak up,
Right.
right? So that's why I say you do a dialogue, you talk to both individuals, and then say identify the root cause on figuring out why, what is happening, why is somebody's behaving the way they are doing, and then you need to talk to both of them and say promote right? Again, you have to say, you have to understand each other. Now, Sarah might be expecting Alex to go quiet, and Alex might be expecting Sarah to speak up. You have to say, sit down, talk, understand how it will work and where it will go to do that, right? And that's why many companies have clear communication norms. And that's where, if you remember, RASCI comes into play: responsible, accountable, consulted, uh, supported, and informed. Right? You establish a clear communication form because people come with different personality traits and come with a different working style, and you put up a clear communication norms on what, which could also be that you cannot, you can, if you have any issues which is between two of the people, talk outside the meeting and then come. Right? You can't point fingers in a meeting which is purely personal. One example of a clear communication norms which would happen, right? So here we are taking example of Sarah and this. You are putting this particular part, and as a manager, uh, this is your requirement, right? You will sit between them and try to bring down the conflict resolution. It may also mean, like you said, Pawan, and just putting these words across all, what you said is, you might, after looking at the root cause, you might ask Alex to tone down a bit, and you may ask Sarah to step up a bit,
Yes, so
right?
ultimately, I'm just promoting a balanced participation there.
Yes. But my take would be, look at the data, because
Uh-huh.
my experience has been, if I may, many places my experience has been where I had to tell the person to speak up in the meeting, because I tell them, if you don't speak up and if you don't tell, other people won't know, and if they won't know, they won't be able to empathize.
Yeah, so ultimately, sir, to that balanced participation, we called one technique a round robin discussion, right? So we can encourage everyone to participate. If a person is an introvert and he or she is not telling, we can just call out their name and ask their perception or their views, so that at least they can, get a push to, provide the information.
Yes, or you are absolutely right. Second option many a time is, if you know that one or two of your team member are not comfortable talking with everybody, you encourage them to reach out to the people with which they have some kind of disagreement prior to the meeting, 1:1.
Yes.
And if it's not resolved, to come to you, and then you bring up that topic in the meeting, and that's where slowly that person gets the confidence to talk in front of everybody. Usually it happens with techies who are too happy to be in their own world, and they don't like talking in a crowd, right? So many a time, and I think once you do that, you build up a team cohesion where, like, you tell Sarah that Alex is very much there working for the organization like you. And you also tell Alex that, Sarah is also equally important for the organization. And when you work together, actually, when you bring your personality together, when you work, if you are able to work together, it might be for the benefit of both of you as well as the organization, right? And here, team building, other part, like, a team dinner, team lunch, team building may really help, where each of them might be able to see the other part of the the personality of the person, which they may then like, and mutual respect may come through, right? Here I'll pause and ask, uh, do you see team building activities, when done properly, really helping?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I think as a manager, this is what you should look for, and you need to bring those people together. Like so. One example here, I'm thinking on the fly, could be that that Sarah is introvert and Alex is there. You go for a team building where you tell Sarah to take the lead to organize some activities. in a more relaxed manner, where maybe Alex could see, oh, she can organize and she can do so well, and that's where individual respect may come through. Or Alex, you find out is a very good singer, and there Alex sings some nice songs, and then Sarah might say, oh, this guy has a different side also. So, lots of ways, and working with people is not easy, and I think that's why managers get paid a lot, because if you are able to do this, and I think the last point of mine is my favorite, again, always provide ongoing support and feedback. Right? It's not a one-time activity. It is ongoing stuff, and you need to keep on working with them. And when they see you are investing time, then they also put in that extra effort. A question out here: if you as a manager are giving that kind of attention to your team, do you see them more responsive?
Yes.
Yeah. And the second part, if your manager is giving you that kind of time and attention, do you get more responsive to your manager?
Yes, of course.
Exactly. And I think that's the key point of how do you manage intrapersonal and interpersonal conflicts, right? And then, you can have a very well high performing teams working for you, right? So I'm going to pause here and say we have done today two things, three things actually. We did a case on topic one, then we did intrapersonal and interpersonal, and I just wanted to know if there are any takeaways from you. Is it making sense? Was introducing a case for each topic helping, or do you think it's not helping?
It's helping, sir.
Right. Any other views or any comments on this two part? Because we need to start with talking about how do we manage conflict between people, which is easier, because the moment the conflict is between groups, and I believe you must be smiling, thinking about various departments you have to work to get the work done, right? Then it gets more crazy, and that's what we'll do next week when we talk about conflicts which involves groups out here, right? So if there are no more comments and if we are good, then guys, thank you very much. As always, a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you for being interactive. I will upload all this stuff, including the case and the solution, if you are okay, a model solution, so that you get a
Yes, the
hang
case
of it.
upload to the
Yeah.
LML.
Yeah. I will do it so that you can see it. One, it could be a very good takeaway for your own work perspective. And the second part would be this is how you could answer in the exams. Because passing and getting good marks is also equally important, right? And I think that's what also we need to focus on. Great, guys. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day. Enjoy the finals today in case you are interested in cricket. And then we'll talk next week. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.